Alright, well, good morning all. I have a crew out here and a hole in my front yard. Get out of these guys' way. They're finally digging up this main that broke, water main, and they're working across the street. They're working in my yard, and I think they had to turn off a good portion of the neighbors' houses here, unfortunately. But yeah, that water main is broken way down. You can see those guys had dug down 6 feet roughly, at least. I mean, the guy disappeared in the hole down there, so. Use the shovel to pull the line. So that's going across the street. Yeah. Quite a trenching adventure. That would explain why my yard is such a swampland, because that water is just, you know, soaking that ground, turning it into a swamp for the last 3+ months. It's taken them quite a while to get out here to fix that. It's killing my yard because of all the overwatering, probably the excess chlorinated water, whatever. And I'm concerned that it's also killing that tree, because I've been having quite a few branches dead laying in my yard lately. So it's probably poisoning and killing that tree slowly. I might end up having to have that thing cut out of the yard and find out. I think the tree roots have killed the curb anyway. They're kind of pushing sections of the curb out, but it doesn't help when the ground is so soft and trying to migrate south. Anyway, good morning to you all. A little different start to the day, and I better get my gloves before they fall off here. Yeah, I got enough. I filled this thing up a couple days ago. You never know how much fuel the Ryker really has until it starts going down. I was going to go over to the gas station, but I think it'll survive. So I've got a bunch of work to do at the warehouse today. I'll be cleaning stuff out, still trying to make strides toward turning it into more productive space. And then I've got a handful of equipment that I need to sell and list for sale. Some of it's already gotten hits and needs to be sold, so I need to follow up with the requesters that touched base with me late last night. Anyway, I'm going to try to be getting the Super Cub running today. I brought a little jump pack with me. It's up here in the frunk. And yes, it's a front trunk. The battery is just so dead on it, I can't get it started. And my lithium batteries that I thought were at home must be at the warehouse, because they are not at home. I tore the whole garage apart, couldn't find them. So I remember taking a bunch of the spare motorcycle gear, equipment, parts, stuff like that, to the warehouse in preparation of making that my workspace. It just never fully materialized, so I've got stuff split up and spread between different areas, different locations right now. So hopefully I will be able to turn up one of those lithium batteries, and I'll just swap the battery in the Cub and not worry about jump starting it, but we'll see how that goes. If I can get it started and just let it run, the charging system might be able to rejuvenate that battery a little bit. I'm always a little hesitant about doing that with really dead batteries, because it puts an extra load on your charging system, on the stator and regulator and all that. So hopefully the regulator is stable enough, smart enough in the Cub to not be overloaded. Those lithium batteries have a very low self-discharge rate, so if they're reasonably charged, I think they usually ship them out when they're only like 60 or 80% charged, because it's not good to have a full charge sitting on the shelf for a long time. But even then, the self-discharge rate is really low, and they can sit for a year plus and still have 40 or 50% of their charge capacity, so that's good. I'll dig one of those out, throw a voltmeter on it real quick, and they also have a test light on top that you can press that'll give you a low, medium, high charge rate or charge statistic, their capacity. So I'll see how fresh it is, and if it'll charge the bike or start the bike, then the bike will finish the charge. Anyway, I don't think I've got a lot of battery in this. I can't think of anything else to talk about, so I will take a little intermission here and catch you all when I arrive at the warehouse, and then again later in the day. Yeah, this looks safe. What say we not follow behind him? Huh? Go ahead, make the corner, and then I'm getting out from behind you. Rent a truck, dude, rent a truck. Doesn't cost much. 30 bucks for an hour or something like that. All right, well, back to the warehouse, and nice Lambo. I will work on making some money today, because money has been very thin lately, and it's slowing down my progress on all of my fun stuff and making all the mandatory stuff even more stressful. I need to find ways to streamline my operations again. Work has slowed down considerably over the last 6 to 8 months, and normally, you know, I go through a lull in the middle of the year anyway, but that lull has not picked up toward the end of the year where it normally does. I usually have a lot of big projects already stacked up and rolling by now, and there's just nothing, so I'm sweating it a bit. But, you know, that's the routine for most everybody in the country these days, so I am no different. Anyway, I'm here, I'm going to work, and I will catch you this afternoon. All right, everybody. Welcome back to my Thursday in progress. Headed home on the little Cub now. Haven't had it out in a while because the battery was toast, but I replaced that earlier today, and even reset the clock on it. 5:39. And look at the charging coming up. Gotta love it. I need to adjust this guy again. It's not quite the right position. This phone is bigger than what I previously had on there, so I gotta kind of adjust it. I got it turned sideways so these lenses hopefully don't get hit. You guys can't see it from your perspective, but anyway, I don't want to get hit by road debris. That's what killed my last 2 phones. Okay, anyway, I started this a minute ago, let it warm up, so I don't really need to sit here and let it get warmer, but yeah, it's peak of rush hour right now, so I'm going to take the back roads getting out of here instead of rubbing elbows with the crazy cagers as much as I can anyway. Oh, it feels different to ride this one. I aired up my tires a couple days ago. They were pretty low after sitting for a while. They were down to, I don't know, about 10 pounds low each. I want to say the front was down to 18 or 19 pounds, and the rear was, oh man, I think it was 20. So it was good and flat. Okay, you're going that way, I'll go this way. Maybe. Eventually. I definitely don't want to get out on the main roads until I don't have a choice. So I'll take the access road on I-10 to Beltway 8 area. And then, I don't know, I might do the feeder on and off or something on I-10, but I want to get reacclimated to this thing before I start doing anything real crazy. I need to move that phone. It's too low. It's in the way of my hand. My wrist, bumping my wrist into it. Might need to put a longer ram arm on there to crane that thing out of the way. Anyway, I think I was productive today at the warehouse. I got a lot of stuff done. Didn't really make any money yet. Prepped a bunch of stuff to make money, but haven't sold it. So hopefully that comes to pass here very soon. Quite a lot of hardware that I'm going through that I've received in from customers over the last 6 months, almost a year, and trying to kind of ease their burden of finding somebody that they know and trust to sanitize it and get rid of it. And of course, for me, it's just labor. And if I can sell it and make a few dollars on it, that recovers my labor costs. So it's a win-win. Some of the stuff I can sell for good money, but usually it's enterprise level stuff that not just everybody is willing to take on or has the expertise to even use or configure. So it's a little bit harder to get rid of some of that stuff. But it's a whole lot better than those kind of items just ending up in a crusher, you know, recycler crusher, trying to part out metals and plastics and stuff. That's just such a shame to see perfectly good usable equipment getting pulped for weight. You know, it just doesn't make sense. If it can be used, I'd like to find somebody that can use it. You know, old wireless systems that are a few years old that are still plenty good and have plenty of life left in them. You know, enterprise level wireless stuff, Ruckus zone directors and Cisco, you know, wireless access systems and things like that. These companies will do refreshes on their technology every Same goes with a lot of the servers. Servers will get put out to pasture just because they're part of a technology refresh, but there's nothing wrong with them. They're still plenty good, stable, reliable. You know, there's no problems with the hardware itself. It's just aged out and it's no longer under warranty, so they want to unload it and get something new that has on-site warranty. So these servers could be, you know, 3 years old, 5 years old, whatever, and they still have easily another 3 to 5 years of life left in them, but same story. They just get sent out to pasture. The problem with those is they hold configuration data or, you know, user data, proprietary stuff, sensitive stuff that needs to be nuked and sanitized off of those drives. So that's what I take care of, is data destruction, making sure that everything has been zeroed out, or in some cases I just remove the drives and find a new home for the hardware itself, and then somebody can buy their own drives. A whole lot better if you can sell it as a unit, though. And I can't see diddly stinking poopy diddly staring into that sun. Ugh, can't see nothing. The guy behind me can't either, and hopefully that doesn't mean he's going to run into me. I can kind of see a green light, and it's a yield for me if I can find somebody that's now. Oh, I'm going. I'm already out here. So I'll do some commuting on the Cub for a change. Tomorrow's supposed to be real rainy, so I won't be riding it. If I go out on a client side, it's going to be pouring rain, so I'll skip that opportunity, that torture. The commutes on the Cub are so much more efficient than they are on the Navi. I've been doing most of my running around on the Navi these days, so I'll try to keep those comparisons in mind, the forefront of my brain, to kind of give pros and cons about the two and the differences. Obviously, we know fuel economy is the big one. Speed is, yeah, it's a factor. This one obviously goes faster. I don't know that it accelerates that much faster, but the top speed is definitely higher, without a doubt. Acceleration's probably almost even. This one might edge it out just a little bit. If I had the 14-tooth sprocket on there, the original size, then yeah, I would definitely accelerate faster than the Navi. But with the 15-tooth on here, it slows down the acceleration a little bit. But I much prefer the calmer motor, you know, lower revs. It's just easier to ride, in my opinion. Man, it is real hard to see staring into the sun. I'm going by feel right now. Can't see anything. Thump, thump. Oh, that must be a curb. One of these is an exit. I think it's the next one over. Yep. Are you parking? Okay, you park. I'll go. You go, man. You go. You'll be faster than me eventually when you start moving forward. I don't think you want to go that way, but it's really up to you, man. Okay. Out is here. I don't know where you're going. Okay, he's turning, so am I. Another thing that I need to do to the Cub, maintenance-wise, before I get too deep into more miles on this thing, is I need to check the timing chain idler plate. It's like a, you know, a scrape plate, whatever you want to call it. It's a guide plate. And then there's the timing chain idler wheel. So you got the, it's like a cam arm with a wheel on the end of it. It's a plastic wheel that rides in the middle of that timing chain to keep it centered up and tensioned and all that. And then there's a spring and all that stuff, you know, that kind of forces against it to maintain tension on the timing chain, the cam chain. Anyway, from what I understand, people in the Grom world have noticed that that idler wheel gets worn down. It slowly whittles itself down over a lot of miles, especially high-speed running, high RPM operation. So I'm wondering if mine is probably getting a little bit small in diameter, because I do notice that when I start up the bike when it's cold in the mornings, if I rev the motor just a little bit, I don't have to do a lot, just, you know, kind of bump the idle, I can hear it chatter a bit. It sounds like it's slacking or flapping in there. So it makes me wonder if it's healthy or not. So the only way to find out is you got to pull it apart. Unfortunately, you got to pull the head and the jug and all that to get to the timing chain and the idler and everything else. So I'll probably do that eventually. It would be nice to get in there and take a look at it anyway to find out if the bore is still good, and you know, check on the valve seats and everything else that's in it, and just kind of go through it and see what my 10,000 mile torture test did to it during the Cannonball run. I don't know if it hurt it. I don't think it really did that much to it, but you never know. I'm gonna go ahead and jump up here and do an on and off. It still seems to be running fine. It doesn't appear to be losing or burning excess amounts of oil, but it did consume oil during the Cannonball run, so it makes me wonder. So we just assumed that we were killing them. We just figured, all right, they're going to be dead by the time we finish the ride. You know, get back to Houston, probably going to have to rebuild the top end of these things, but well, they're still kicking. I'll leave it alone. Just want to check on that idler health. I wonder if I can get in there with a bore scope. That would be interesting. Get in there and bore scope that thing, see if the little idler wheel still looks normal-ish. I mean, wouldn't be able to get calipers or anything on it, but I don't know. Because if I get in there, it'd be a shame to put everything back together in the factory config without refreshing some of it at least. You know, do the put a fresh idler wheel and spring and tensioners and all that kind of stuff in it. I don't know if I would want to put a fresh piston and rings in it, or just big bore it at that point, you know. I don't really want to get into the big bore game, but I might. I don't know. Trying to decide if another off and on is worth it or just stay on. Nah, this is moving, I'll stay on. Yeah, that's a parking lot. This is going to be a parking lot again too, but that's all right. Otherwise, mechanically, this thing is still solid. I would like to pull the forks off of it and do a minor rebuild on. Change out the fork oil, you know, 4 years old up there, 15,000 hard miles. So I'm sure the oil is getting a bit crusty. So it's time to change that out. I'll probably go with some 15 weight up front, a little bit thicker. I think the factory is 10 or 12. So I'll bump it up just a bit, maybe add a little bit more damping. I could potentially look into something like a YSS PD valve setup for it, see if that is an option. But these front factory forks have done well enough, especially considering the abuse that we've put them through. They're doing all right. They do have a bit of stiction right now, though. That's one reason why I want to at least refresh the oil. It's going to be a pain in the butt to pull it all apart because you got to take the whole front cover off and all that. You don't have to take a leg shield, but you got to take the fork shrouds and the wheel and all that other nonsense off, and it's just tedious. So with my upcoming commute series that I'll be doing on this, probably ride this exclusively for the next, I don't know, maybe month or something like that, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, I don't know, I'll figure it out. All through November, let's say, except for the days that it's just horribly raining or whatever. I'm going to track the mileage and my average speeds real carefully to see how that compares to the Navi and some of the other mini-motos. I've done it in the past, but never really for in-town commuting. I've totaled my highway averages, like through the cannonball, 10,000 miles of just wide open torture. Pulling a trailer, I got 109 miles to the gallon average. That's insane. So what I'm wondering is what normal kind of reserved commutes are. Like right here, I'm doing 40-45 with the rest of rush hour traffic. Around town on the surface streets, I've gotten somewhere in the 125 to 135 mile per gallon range on the Cub, with my highest being in the 150s when I kept the speeds down to, you know, 40-ish. So I'm curious to see how this will work out. It'd be pretty cool if I can say this is 150 miles per gallon commuter. I don't think it's going to do quite that well, but probably be close. I'm Okay, I'm getting out of this. Everybody's lining up for the Highway 6 exit. Just jockeying to be in the same spot at the same time. The weather has been crappy all day, and now it's blown out, and it's quite nice this evening. The temperatures are great. It's still a little bit humid, but it's really nice out here. Unfortunately, tonight, getting close to midnight or 1, I think we're supposed to have a bunch of nasty weather. And I saw a severe weather report on my phone saying that we may have tornadoes possible tomorrow evening and tomorrow night as this big storm front rolls through. It could bring the possibility of very high winds and tornadoes. It's crazy. Tornadoes in November. Okie dokie. I can't believe the condition of these tires. It just amazes me. I took some short video and some pictures of the front tire on this thing. It's the Michelin Pilot, not the Pilot 2, or Pilot Street, sorry. The Michelin Pilot Street, but it is not the Pilot Street 2. That came out just right after I purchased these early last year, before the Cannonball Run. So I've gone through several of the Pilot street and street 2s on the rear of this thing through the Cannonball, but the front one, Pilot Street, has like 12 or 13,000 miles on it now, like 12,000 I think, and it still looks new. It's insane. I still have whiskers on the sides of it. Lots of tread left over, so I don't know what the ultimate longevity of this thing is going to be. It's pretty crazy. As long as it doesn't dry rot, I think I'm probably going to see 30,000, 40,000 miles out of this front tire. If it starts getting slippery, I'll replace it. You know, I'll upgrade it to something else, probably the Pilot Street 2 or something like that. But I put a new, I think it's the Street 2 on the back. I need to check. I ordered that and put a fresh one on it right after the Cannonball last year. And I had Cycle Gear put it on for me, so I didn't have to bust my knuckles. I did that enough during the Cannonball. I'll pay them 20 bucks that you can have it, man. Here's your 20 bucks. Use the machine. Do it the easy way. Jump over here and do an off and on. Yeah, commutes like this, I'm sure I could get 140 to 150 miles to the gallon out of the Cub. This is just so congested and slow. It's moving steady, which is good. You know, better than surface streets where you're stopping and starting. This, at least you continue rolling. So you don't have all that lost energy from braking and reaccelerating. Just keep the RPMs low and hypermile. Use the throttle lightly and judiciously. It's a very efficient little machine. Okay, full stop. I would try to jump over, but these people haul ass through here. 70 plus on this access road. 45 speed limit, but yeah, that doesn't mean nothing. Wow, the highway's full stop. I don't know, maybe I should go on around to the surface streets. Sit through those lights down there. It might be easier than this. Of course, I could split, but I want to pick up a flat tire on the shoulder. My last two flat tires that I've gotten were not from lane splitting or riding the shoulder. I was in the middle of the main lane just like usual and managed to pick something up. Blam!